Okay, let's unpack this. We've been watching the biggest players in AI, Google Gemini and OpenAI's ChatGPT, and they've both rolled out their own versions of AI agent builders.
Right.
And this is a really critical shift. We're moving past just, asking AI questions.
We really are.
We're getting into full-scale automation, giving AI these custom workflows to just execute tasks for you. But the sources we've looked at show these two approaches are just fundamentally different.
Oh, completely. Different features, wildly different settings, and honestly, very different levels of practical use right out of the box.
Right.
And that's really the core tension we're looking at today. For you, the listener, you're trying to invest your time, your energy into learning this next generation of automation.
And you don't want to waste that time.
Exactly. Picking the wrong platform to start with is a huge sunk cost. The worry isn't just wasted time, it's committing to a system that's maybe obsolete before it even properly launches.
Absolutely. So our mission today is a clear, head-to-head comparison. We want to show you which platform is worth the investment. And maybe, more importantly, that the real power for both might actually be outside of their own systems.
To do that right, we need to trace the whole journey. How you get access, how you build an agent, what you can actually connect it to, how reliable it is, and then, deliver the final verdict.
Let's dive in. And let's start with access, because even that first step really defines who this is for. If you want to use the ChatGPT agent builder from OpenAI, it's pretty much an open field. You just go to the URL, and, well, anyone can start building.
But Google, on the other hand, they have a very distinct gate. To get into Gemini's AI agent builder, you have to have an active Workspace account.
A business account, basically.
Right. You get there through flows.workspace.google.com. And there's a neat little shortcut if you're already deep in their world, the studio icon in the top right of Gmail.
Oh, I've seen that.
And that studio is actually quite useful. It gives you this real-time look at your agents, tells you if something's broken, if a flow has failed.
So one side is open to the public, the other is a paid business subscription model. Now, that workspace requirement, I can see some of our enterprise listeners thinking, that's a feature, not a bug.
How do you mean?
Well, requiring a managed, secure workspace environment could suggest, higher data governance standards compared to just an open platform.
That's a really insightful point. For a company in a regulated industry, that structure is a major plus for security. But this whole philosophy, open versus structured, it shows up immediately in how they handle the trigger.
The trigger being the when. When does the automation actually start?
Exactly.
And on the Google side, the triggers have, a ton of flexibility right away. You're not just limited to a human typing something in. You can set an automation to happen on a schedule, like every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. You can customize time zones, repeat settings, and, crucially, you can trigger it when an email comes in or a chat message. That just opens it up for so much more.
And that flexibility is exactly what's missing from the OpenAI builder. I mean, it's the first limitation that just jumps out at you from the sources. The only trigger it has is someone starting a chat with the agent.
Okay, so wait, let me get this straight. Google can run a process without me doing anything like it. It can send a summary email every Friday on its own.
Yep.
But ChatGPT, by design, always needs a person to kick things off by talking to the agent.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You can see who they're targeting. Google is going after that internal enterprise user who needs background automation, scheduled reports, automated email sorting.
And OpenAI.
They are laser focused on the developer or the public user who wants to build a really good custom chatbot that people interact with. So they're building two totally different tools for two different audiences, and it all starts with that trigger.
Okay, so Google wins on the when, the trigger flexibility, but OpenAI is clearly focused on text input. Let's move to the actual actions and integrations. This is where it gets really interesting.
So starting with Google, you build these automations by linking steps together.
Like building blocks.
Kind of. And these steps can be pretty powerful. You can ask Gemini to write something, extract info from a doc, summarize text, create a decision tree, or even send a webhook.
And a webhook is just a way for Google to pay an external service, right? Send data somewhere else.
Exactly. It seems really robust, especially with steps like recap my unread emails.
But then we hit what the sources are calling the integration chasm.
Yeah.
Google connects great to its own stuff. Gmail, Drive, Sheets. I mean, that's a given. But when you look outside the Googleverse, it's shockingly limited.
It's the single biggest complaint we found. Despite how powerful Gemini is and how flexible the triggers are, Google natively integrates with only 5 external apps.
Five.
Five.
For a tool that's meant to automate business workflows, that number feels tiny. it really limits the scope of what you can actually do.
It does. The apps are Asana, Confluence, Jira, MailChimp, and Salesforce.
And if your business runs on anything else, HubSpot, QuickBooks, some specialized industry tool,
You're basically dead in the water. You can't build a complete automation with the native tool.
that's a massive limitation. Okay, so let's contrast that with OpenAI. If I want to build, say, a YouTube title generator, I can name it, give it some simple instructions.
Right. Like, give me 3 to 5 great titles for a video on this topic.
And you get some nice internal controls like picking the AI model, adjusting its reasoning effort, things like that.
Those internal controls are nice, for sure. But the real power, the huge strategic advantage, is the external connectivity. OpenAI gives you access to web search, file search, but the absolute game changer is the MCP server.
Okay, let's break that down. When you say MCP server, what does that actually mean for the user?
The MCP server is the magic key. It connects ChatGPT agents directly to Zapier's multi-cloud platform.
So Zapier's giant library of connections.
Exactly. It's their massive connectivity layer. And by plugging into that, a ChatGPT agent instantly gets access to over 8,000 different apps.
Whoa. Okay, so that number is the story right there. 5 external apps on Google.
Versus over 8,000 through Zapier on OpenAI.
I mean, that's the whole ballgame. You're connecting your little chatbot to basically the entire digital ecosystem. Slack, Facebook ads, even other Google products that Gemini's own builder doesn't support.
It just makes the ChatGPT agent model so much more useful because that third-party connector completely removes the connectivity barrier.
Okay, so I've got triggers, we've got connectivity. Now let's talk about actually using these things, the practical side of it. Testing, reliability, and, scaling up.
Testing is pretty straightforward on both, actually. For ChatGPT, you pop into the test window, type a prompt like video about the YouTube algorithm, and it gives you the titles. Simple.
And for Google?
Google has a test run feature for a whole flow. So you can test something like, find an email that says, book a call, and then send a notification to my chat channel.
And it shows you where it breaks, which is useful feedback, assuming the system itself isn't the problem.
And that brings us to maybe the most serious flaw we saw in the sources. Reliability.
Oh.
It was noted that Google automations fail a lot. They frequently run into errors because the system says Gemini is at capacity. And this wasn't just one model. It was affecting both Gemini 3 and 2.5. The automations just break.
Wait a second. So if I set up a time-sensitive automation like routing sales leads or answering support tickets, how much business could I lose because the system just tells me the AI engine is too busy? That's not just super annoying, as the source said. For a business, that is a critical, maybe even a business-ending flaw.
Exactly. For that internal efficiency user that Google is targeting, reliability is everything. A system that fails because of capacity issues, no matter how good the AI is, you just can't rely on it for anything mission critical.
You can't build a process on something you have to constantly check up on.
You really can't.
And beyond that, what about sharing? If I build a great tool for my team or even want to sell a niche agent.
And here's another huge difference that really limits Google. ChatGPT agents. They can be shared. They can be published to the agent store. You can just give someone a link. They're built to be distributed.
Okay.
Google automations, however, only run on your exact instance.
So they can't be shared with other people at all?
Nope.
So if I build the world's greatest email summarizer on Google, only I can use it. But if I build it on ChatGPT, I can give it to my whole company or even sell it.
That's it. It severely limits the platform for any kind of broad use. So OpenAI wins on the breadth of apps, that 8,000 number, and on deployment since it's shareable. But let's look at depth for a second.
What do you mean by depth?
Even those 5 apps that Google connects to, they might not offer much functionality. Limited access is one thing, but limited action within the app is a whole other problem. And they are severely restricted. Let's take a concrete example. QuickBooks.
Okay.
Google's native integration supports only 3 actions for QuickBooks. And they're usually really basic, like create a customer or find an invoice. That's about it.
And what does the competition offer for QuickBooks?
Using Zapier, which, again, connects to ChatGPT, it offers 47 actions.
47.
47. So you can run detailed reports, track payments, manage payroll, categorize complex transactions. The difference is just, it's the gap between a minor convenience and a genuinely powerful automation that can change how a business runs.
That really paints a picture. It makes Google's Builder feel more like a proof of concept for simple internal tasks. And it's held back by capacity problems, no sharing, and incredibly shallow integrations.
I think that's a pretty accurate summary of its current state, especially when you put it up against what the competition offers through, smart partnerships.
So what does this all mean for the listener who's already deep in the Google ecosystem? You use Gemini every day, but you're feeling these limitations. Is there a workaround?
Absolutely. And this is the key strategy. The answer, once again, is Zapier. You build your automations outside of Google's native builder.
Okay.
You use Zapier's Copilot or its AI Studio to specifically call on the Gemini 3 intelligence.
Ah, okay. So you use Zapier as the main hub for the automation, but you bring in Gemini as the brain to do the thinking.
Exactly.
So you could say, pull data from a Google Sheet, have Gemini process it, and then send the result to one of those 8,000 other apps.
Precisely. You get the best of both worlds. The raw intelligence of the Gemini model, but without the capacity issues or the limited integrations of Google's native builder. And Zapier's Copilot tool makes building this stuff way easier.
How so?
You can literally just tell it verbally what you want to build. Something complex like, hey, reply to Slack messages that mention our product using a summary from Gemini 3, then log that response in Salesforce. And it can build that whole thing for you in under a minute.
Wow. That brings us right to our final verdict then. For you listening right now, trying to decide where to invest your time, where should you focus?
We have two very clear recommendations, and they depend on your goal. First, if you want to build a powerful, shareable chatbot that connects to the outside world.
Like a customer service bot or a research assistant.
Exactly. Then you have to use OpenAI agents connected to Zapier's MCP. It's the most robust, scalable, and shareable solution out there today.
And recommendation two.
If your goal is just broad general automation, internal or external, and you need to connect to tons of different apps, you should probably just skip both native builders and go straight to Zapier's AI Studio.
And what about Google's native tool?
Look, the UI is nice, the describe a task feature is cool, but the severe limitations, no sharing, the tiny list of external apps with, only 3 actions for QuickBooks, and those constant reliability problems.
It's just hard to recommend.
It's very hard to recommend for any serious scalable automation right now. It works best as a simple tool for internal tasks inside the Google ecosystem, and that's about it.
So to recap the big differences, Trigger's OpenAI is chatbot only, Google is more flexible, integrations, it's a landslide. 5 shallow apps for Google versus 8,000 deep ones for OpenAI via Zapier. And sharing ChatGPT agents are publishable, Google's are locked to you.
Right, and the big takeaway from this deep dive is that even with giants like Google and OpenAI building these tools, the real power and usefulness of AI automation right now, it still depends almost entirely on a powerful third-party connector like Zapier.
Which raises a really interesting final thought for you to consider as you plan your own strategy. Given that this functionality gap is so wide, how long will this middleman, this intermediary, remain essential?
When will the native AI builders from the big guys finally be able to stand on their own and offer that same level of deep, reliable connectivity?
It's a fascinating dependency, isn't it? The best way to use the power of the biggest AI models is still through the plumbing of a connector company.
It really is.
A great place to leave it. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the AI agent wars. We hope this helps you decide where to put your time and energy, and maybe encourages you to look at those third-party connections to build what you really need today.